we are in the measurement performance domain. And when we do measurements, we are trying to find out what is happening with the project, where the project will go to. That's basically the goal, why we want to know these measures. But we also have to understand that some things can go wrong. And we call these measurement pitfalls. What are the pitfalls we can fall into and that will lead to wrong measurements, wrong results? Let's have a look at the first element, which is called the Hawthorne effect. When we look at implementation of a measuring system, it also may lead to changes in behavior. And it means that in certain cases, the people, the team members, will concentrate on creating as much as deliverables without considering their importance or value. As a project manager, you should steer the team members to focus on value creation and not just on productivity. This is a very important element because when you create a lot of deliverables, you're working a lot, but finally you're not creating the value. I've seen it in many cases where people I'm dealing with, they want to work, they want to show that they are working, but they're working but not creating value. When you're doing work, it's better to do less work but create more value. And that's something that in cases I've seen here, specifically in Czech Republic, but also in other countries, that the people want to show that they are working by doing a lot of things. They don't think about the value they're creating. They don't think about their efficiency. They just think about the fact, I am working, so I'm doing a good job. It's not always the case. So the Hawthorne effect describes this, that when you just do work, it doesn't always lead to the value creation that we want to have. Another element is what we call vanity metric and demoralization. The vanity metric is where we start providing reports and measurements that show information that has no real value for decision making. We show reports, we create a lot of nice things about it. People look at it, they say, hey, this is wonderful, this is great what we are seeing. But basically there is no real information. The real information that we need is not there. It creates the overview that people did a lot of work, they showed a lot of things, but the main items are missing. And the second element is about demoralization. When we look at a project team morale is very important to ensure project success. We have to understand how can we motivate people. And when we set goals that are too easy, it doesn't really motivate people. But on the other hand, when we set unachievable goals or we don't recognize hard work, all these things lead to the demoralization of the team members, bad morale, bad effects on the project. Now, when we also look at misusing metrics and confirmation bias, people may misuse the metrics, and there are some cases that you have to identify to ensure that this doesn't happen. People may focus on less important metrics rather than on the important ones. They show you the metrics that confirm what they're doing, but they're not really showing the metrics that you need. They focus on short-term effects and not on the long-term results. We have to see what is happening to the future. What is happening on short-term may be interesting, but we have to be more concerned about the result of the project long-term. Working on out-of-sequence activities that can be achieved quickly and easily to brush up on the overall situation. You can create a lot of additional value just creating some activities that can be done very quickly, but it doesn't lead to an improvement of the project as a total. It's just brushing up the overall situation, creating a false impression that everything is going well. When we look for information that proves our pre-existing point of view, is also what we call confirmation bias. We can find that information, we see what this information is giving us, it's confirming what we want to prove, and basically it can lead to the wrong conclusions. We may take the wrong actions to the project, finally leading to a negative effect on the project efficiency. Another element that we have to consider is correlation versus causation. People tend to mix this, and you have to be careful about this. Correlation doesn't mean that there is causation. Correlation means that there is a relationship between parameters. We can see that there is a linear correlation between two parameters. We think that there is also causation, but we only have those two parameters that may be having that correlation just by accident. We have to understand, is there really a correlation and a causation between those parameters? Is there a cause and effect relationship between the two? Now, when we look at causation and we look at a typical graph that I already used before with operating speed in processes and the errors that are created, we can see in our case that when the operating speed or we work faster, we have more errors. This is something that could be considered logical because we know when we work faster, we don't use the same precision, we don't have time to do the things right. And working faster will lead to the effect where we have more errors. We find a linear correlation, and in this case, we can say there is a clear causation between the two. So we looked at the measurement pitfalls. It's very important to understand what can go wrong. We have to identify where things can go wrong so we can remediate them when we are dealing with these elements in projects. That's it for this lesson. The next lesson will be looking at troubleshooting performance. So that's it for this video. You're doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next videos and lessons. Thank you, and bye-bye.